Welcome back, MTN Giants podcast, previewing a game where the Giants will 100% lose. So I kind of feel like there's no reason to preview the game, but I do like to stay consistent, so we're just going to do it anyway. But Giants hosting the Baltimore Ravens. It opened up as Ravens minus 15. There was news that Drew Lock is now doubtful with a foot injury. So Tommy DeVito is a starter for the Giants now. They got bumped down to a minus or a plus 16.5 now. So the Ravens basically favored by 2 touchdowns and a field goal in this game, and it still might not be enough. So it's going to be a rough one for the Giants. Ravens coming off a bye. They are the healthier team. I did see the Giants got Jermaine Illuminor back, so that will help, but the Giants are also going to be without some other players. Obviously, we'll go over the injuries, but it seems like as the year goes on, and the Giants, of course, sitting where they're at, I believe it's 2-11 now. Yeah, 2-11. Obviously, guys are not going to be rushed back, and they're going to kind of milk these injuries. And I once again, I don't know what the front office is doing. I don't know if they want to lose. I don't get it, right? We know players play to win, coaches coach to win. The only people that can dictate tanking, I guess, is, well, there's 2 parties. Ownership, which probably would not happen with John Mara, and, of course, the front office. And I just think with Joe Schoen and his job really being in jeopardy, it feels like I don't know why they would be tanking on purpose, so I don't necessarily believe it. But there are a lot of guys out with injury, is what I'm pretty much alluding to. So, yeah, we'll talk about the game, talk about some of the big picture stuff, the draft, of course. The Giants and the Raiders are basically 2 thousandths of a point apart in strength of schedule. I think that's right, thousands. Maybe send me back to 4th grade, I don't know. But they're very close in strength of schedule. Of course, they both are 2-11. So the Giants are very close to the first overall pick. We'll see. There was the Shedeur Sanders video playing catch with Malik Neighbors somewhere in Manhattan, I think that was. So definitely a tease. I hope it happens, but we'll see. So anyway, hope you guys enjoy. Leave a like, subscribe, and let's get into it. Giants injuries, we know Dexter Lawrence is out. And by the way, Dexter Lawrence, a weird situation popped up with him this week. We thought he was a EDP 445 for a second, but turns out it was fake. I never fell for it. I didn't really take it too serious. I know some people on Twitter were trying to make it into something. Thank God it's fake. But yeah, so that was definitely interesting. But yeah, please stay away from that, Dexter Lawrence. Andrew Thomas on IR, of course, with the leg injury. Okereke is going to be out. Cordell Flott, doubtful. Of course, Ojulari, IR. John Runyon, new injury. He's out with a leg injury. Armon Watts went to IR. Anything else? I mentioned Drew Lock is doubtful. Drew Phillips is out with a shoulder injury. Deonte Banks questionable with the rib injury. I don't think he's played for the last 2 games now. He's been out since Thanksgiving. I forget if there was 1 or 2 games since that time. I think there's been 2. Chris Hubbard questionable if they need him. Turns out, right now at least with Illuminor and Neal playing, they won't need Hubbard, but he would be like the backup swing tackle. Deontay Johnson, questionable. He didn't play last week. We figured he would. That was kind of weird, so we'll see if he does or not. For Baltimore, really nobody's in jeopardy of missing this game. I want to see who's on IR for the Ravens in case I'm forgetting any big players for them. Michael Pierce on IR, okay. He's a pretty good player, but it seems like everybody that is at least on the active roster for the Ravens is good to go. As I mentioned, they had a bye week, so that definitely helps them get healthier. So the Ravens will have their full squad. I think the only hope, if you're a Giants fan that wants to win this game, which I don't know why you would be, the only hope is that the Ravens really take this game lightly and they treat this like it's their second bye week in a row. And it could be a look-ahead game because they do face the Steelers the week after this, so maybe there's a chance that it is a quote-unquote look-ahead game, and they'll be overlooking the Giants, and maybe this game is somehow close, although I just don't see that being the case. I think anytime you face a Derrick Henry-type running back in December, in the cold, and you have a team that is giving up. We saw Bobby Okereke making business decisions. I'm sure a Dory Jackson would because he's a veteran. Just veteran guys that have nothing to play for. They will not put full effort into trying to tackle Derrick Henry in an open field when you're 2-11. So those things don't bode well for the Giants in terms of trying to win the game. For the Ravens this season, it's been a confusing one because their offense is great. They're number 1 in yards, number 3 in total points, 3rd best in not turning the ball over. Passing-wise, they're 5th in passing yards, which is really impressive because they're 28th in passing attempts. So it seems like when they pass the ball, it goes for big plays. We see Rashad Bateman make big plays. Occasionally, Nelson Aguilar, even Isaiah Likely's made plays. Zay Flowers, more of an underneath guy, but he has made big plays this year. He's had some bad drops at times too. Rushing-wise, they're 5th in rushing attempts. That's no surprise. 2nd in rushing yards. I feel like that's only trailing probably Philly. I don't see it right now, but I'm assuming Philly's first in that category, but they are number 1 in yards per attempt in terms of rushing, so they are such a good rushing team on offense. Even run defense, we'll get to there. Right now, they are allowing the fewest rushing yards total on defense. Yards per attempt rushing, they are the best defense against the run. So for Tyrone Tracy, for Devin Singletary, it will be tough sledding in this game most likely. However, the passing defense for Baltimore is horrendous. They are dead last in yards allowed. They are 26th in passing touchdowns allowed. The problem is the Giants have a passing game that is awful. We know Tommy DeVito and his limitations. He does not throw the ball very deep, and he takes a lot of sacks. So this will be a chance for Baltimore's defense to get a lot of sacks, get pressure, and I just don't see the Giants reaching over like 16 points. I'd be surprised. For the defense overall for the Ravens, they're 22nd in yards allowed, 24th in points allowed. So, like, their offense is great, but their defense does have their limitations. As I said, like, the Ravens, their entire offense is great. Their run defense is great, but when you talk about their pass defense, it is awful. Like, that is the one part of the Ravens where if they were to not win a Super Bowl this year, that's probably the position group that will cost them, is the secondary. And I don't know why. Like, they have good players in their secondary. You have Marlon Humphrey, who's been a cornerback one for a long time. Darius Washington, I liked him a lot coming out of college. He's very small, but he's a really good player. Kyle Hamilton, one of the better safeties in the NFL. So I don't know why, looking at it, why this secondary is so bad. I actually want to see, when I'm watching this game, okay, what are they doing wrong here? But they've also played good teams. That could be it as well. Obviously, they've played Kansas City, although their offense is not anything prolific these days, but they played Buffalo, they played the Bengals twice, they played the Commanders when they were hitting their peak. I mean, they played the Buccaneers, they allowed 41 to them, they allowed 31 to them. But still, that's a lot of points. For the Giants offense, I'm assuming Neighbors versus Humphrey will be a pretty good matchup to watch out for. I mean, the defensive ends and edge players for the Ravens, they should have a fun day. Of course, Odafe, formerly Jason Owe, he should have a nice game in this one. Tavius Robinson, they have Travis Jones, Justin Matabuke, of course, I think got a big contract in the offseason. They have a pretty good defensive line. As I said, they stop the run better than anybody, so they're very good at that. We'll see if they can get to DeVito. Most teams can, so I have really no doubts about that. Roquan Smith is their defensive anchor, basically. I mean, yeah, maybe Kyle Hamilton, but their defense went to a different level when they made the Roquan trade a year ago, and I think Roquan missed a game recently. It might have been the game versus the Eagles last time they played. I forget now, but I feel like their defense really struggled without him, so with him back, that definitely helps their run defense, and of course, he's really good in coverage as well, so that'll help them. I just don't know what the Giants' offense is going to do. I feel like for the Giants to have any offensive success these days with the circumstances they have, I feel like they have to have a good run game, and if they're going to stop the run and you put the entire game on DeVito's shoulders, I just don't see how this goes well. I really don't. I think we might even see Tim Boyle. It might get that bad. We might see freaking Tim Boyle come in and play if it gets that bad. So I don't know what's going to happen. It might turn out to look like the hell was that guy's name? Jake Fromm. It might be that level of bad, so we'll see. At least they have Neighbors. They have some type of weapon out there. Wandale, of course, is not bad. But guys like Slayton, guys like Hyatt, they have not been making plays, especially since Daniel Jones left. I mean, I feel like Slayton and Daniel Jones had somewhat of a connection. That is not the case anymore, so yeah, Slayton's been struggling lately. And of course, if you want to talk about the Giants' future, watching John Michael Schmitz, Evan Neal will be a thing to watch out for. I mean, maybe not Evan Neal. He might not even be a part of this Giants' future, but we'll see what they do with him in the offseason. He'll be entering year 4, so a pretty big cap hit. I don't know what they're going to do, so we'll talk about that at a future time. For Baltimore's offense, they have, maybe the best quarterback running back duo in the league. Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry's on his way to having a phenomenal year, which I think was pretty easy to see coming. I mean, you can go back and watch my fantasy football video back from August, and I basically got on there and was like, look, I don't know how this guy doesn't have 15 plus touchdowns this year, and I think he's already past that. Like, he is so good in this system. So there were some concerns at first, and sometimes they used Justice Hill a bit more than people would like, but they found a way to make it work. I think Henry's scored in every game but one this year, so it's like he's a lock to score almost every game. Rashad Bateman, Zay Flowers, Nelson Aguilar. They have Deontay Johnson. That's a weird situation. I think he got suspended for something being a distraction. It was a weird trade. Like when the Ravens got Deontay Johnson from the Panthers, they really gave up nothing to get him. And I feel like the Ravens, ever since they got him, have not really used him whatsoever. There was the one game they used him. He had that bad drop, but I feel like ever since he left the Panthers and Andy Dalton, we have not really heard of Deontay Johnson for anything in a positive sense, at least. So Zay Flowers, really good player. Mark Andrews and Isaiah Likely, two really good tight ends. Andrews has been playing much better lately. I don't know what happened with Andrews. He had such a slow start. I know he got in like a car accident, I think, or I could be wrong. I think it was some type of injury like that, just one of those like non-football injuries before the year started. So maybe he was recovering from that. I don't really know, but he's been getting better lately. Of course, Tyler Linderbaum at center, one of the better centers in football. Ronnie Stanley at left tackle. And Roger Rosengarten, rookie at right tackle. He was a second-round pick out of Washington. The Giants' D tackles now, nothing too great. Elijah Chapman, Jordan Riley, so it is concerning up the middle there with all the players they have out. Of course, Lawrence and Nacho are not playing. And also, I forgot to mention, but Tyler Nubin is out for the year with a foot injury, and I saw that Brian Daboll said that he will probably get surgery. So that sucks to see for the Giants' second-round safety of this past year. He had a pretty good rookie year. Like, I cannot complain. He, of course, had some kind of mishaps here and there. But, for the most part, it was a promising season for Tyler Nubin. It's a good opportunity for Dane Belton these final 4 games to show us, does he have anything? 2022 4th-round pick. And this might be a rough game to cover tight ends. Of course, the Ravens, as I said, they have 2 good ones, Likely and Andrews. And with the Giants without Nubin, Nubin usually would cover tight ends on opposing teams, with him out, it might be a tough game to cover Mark Andrews and Isaiah Likely, so we'll see about that. We'll see who plays at cornerback. I mentioned Flott's doubtful. I mentioned that Deonte Banks is questionable with the rib injury, so Adoree Jackson, you have like Greg Stroman Jr., like just cornerbacks that you just really don't want starting for you at this point. So anyway, I think the Ravens will win this game, obviously. It should be by a lot. It really depends how much they want to try. Like, I feel like if the Ravens really took this game serious, they can probably win this like 45-10 or something, right? But I think just given how human nature works and kind of taking your opponents lightly, it might not look as bad. I think, if I had to predict, I'd probably say like 30-10, I think I'd pick the Ravens. So 30-10, that would mean they would cover the big ass spread. So yeah, I'll take 30-10. I really feel like if they wanted to score 45 plus, they could. I just don't think they will need to. And I'm sure in the 4th quarter we'll see like the backups. We'll see like Keaton Mitchell at running back and stuff. So as I said, they have a big game next week. They have to get ready for that against Pittsburgh, and I just don't think they really want to go out there and make a statement versus the Giants. They'll just want to get out of MetLife with a win. And I get that. So anyway, let's get into the week number 15 spread picks. All right, spread pick time. Week 14 did not go well. As you can see, I had a lot of L's, a lot. Ended up going 3-8-1 last week, which brings me to 97-91-5 on the year. So that was disappointing. Definitely have to bounce back. That's back-to-back weeks of being below 500. So let's get to Week 15, Cowboys at Panthers. Carolina favored by 3 points, which is just wild. I really believe that the Cowboys would have won that game on Monday night versus the Bengals, and honestly, they might have if they didn't have that stupid punt fumble at the end. But the Panthers are playing well. I feel like the Panthers find a way to lose by 3 every game now for the past month and a half. So they don't necessarily win, but they keep everything close. They are favored in this game, which is a dangerous game to play. But I feel like Carolina might be the better team. I kind of am with this. I'm going to take the Panthers -3. It might be a crazy thing to think about. Like, think about 2 months ago saying that the Panthers would be favored over the Cowboys, but here we are. So Carolina -3 for me. Chiefs at Browns. KC by 4. This is a game that I just don't think anybody has any clue of what's going to happen. You can see this game playing out in so many different ways. I know the Chiefs, they have to keep winning because they play the Steelers, I think, next week. And the Steelers, I believe, have like maybe 2 losses compared to the Chiefs 1. So that 1 seed is still up for grabs technically. So I think the Chiefs, they do want to go out and win this game. I guess I'll take the Chiefs -4. It's not a big number, and I think they can do that. But, of course, the Chiefs win by maybe 1, 2, or 3 every game. So I am a little concerned, but I'll go KC -4. They, of course, are a better team. Dolphins at Texans. This should be a fun game, honestly. Houston by 2.5. I think that the Texans are coming off a bye. I like that. And, of course, the Texans have not looked sharp this year, but they do need the win. The Dolphins' season is basically over. So I'll go Houston -2.5. I think there's more to play for, and, they're coming off a bye. So I do like that. They are home. So Houston for me by 2.5. Jets at Jaguars. I mean, same record for these teams, which is wild. So Jets -3.5. I will take the Jets. I know they're embarrassing and they stink and blah, blah, blah. But the Jaguars have nothing at this point. I saw Evan Engram is now out for the year. So it's really Brian Thomas Jr. They still have ETN, but there's like nothing left. Mac Jones playing quarterback. I just don't love it. So I'll take the Jets -3.5. I think the Jets might have a fun day offensively, so we'll see. Commanders at Saints. It is going to be a rough one for the Saints here. Of course, the Saints lost Derek Carr last week. He went for that dive and broke his hand. And I think he had a concussion too, so he's out for probably the rest of the year, maybe. So it's Washington by 7.5 on the road in the Dome. I do want to say the Commanders. I think Jake Hayner's the guy starting for the Saints. He came in versus the Giants in the last couple minutes last week. Had that one pass attempt and got sacked. So I will take the Commanders. They should have one of those games where they score a lot. I just don't know how the Saints really score points. If they had like Taysom Hill still, I could see it, but they don't have him either. So it's like I just don't know how they get their offense. So Commanders by 7.5 for me. Ravens at Giants. I'm taking Baltimore. It's down to -16 now, so not 16.5. So I'll take Baltimore -16. I said 30-10 was my prediction, so I'll go with Baltimore. Bengals at Titans. This might be a Brian Callahan revenge game. I feel like he came from the Bengals. I could be wrong, but I feel like that might be right. I forget now. Anyway, so it's Cincinnati -5. It's the Bengals. They had a nice win last week. As I said, they kind of got lucky with that fumbled punt. But I'll take the Bengals. They should win this game. I feel like, the Bengals defense is bad, but the Titans offense is also really bad, so I just don't really know. It's just like, I don't think the Bengals defense being bad will suffer in this game in particular because the Titans offense is that bad. So Cincinnati -5 for me. I'll take that. Patriots at Cardinals. Arizona favored by 6 points. I like the Patriots. Patriots coming off a bye. I feel like this is a matchup they can actually put up points, and the Cardinals have been pretty disappointing the past 2 weeks. So I'll take the Patriots here as a +6 on the road. This is a great game. Colts at Broncos. This is huge for that final playoff spot in the AFC. It's Denver by 4, and I know the Colts are coming off a bye. Of course, I love Richardson, but I'm going to take Denver. I think Denver's a better team. I hate to say it. I do want to see the Colts win, but I just think Denver's the better team. They are better coached, so yeah, I'll take the Broncos by 4 at home. Bills at Lions. Wow, okay, this is a great one. Over-under is 54.5 points, which is wild. You don't see that very often. So it's Detroit -2.5. I know the Bills are coming off a loss, which I guess bodes well for them this week. But they also have the AFC East locked up. I believe they actually clinched, which is crazy. They clinched maybe like 2 weeks ago, too. So I guess I'll take Detroit. I'm trying to pick with my brain, not my heart. I do want to see the Bills win, but I think the Lions are in a better spot right now. So I'll take Detroit -2.5. If the Bills won, would not be too sad about it, but I think the Lions would be the right pick. Buccaneers at Chargers. It's Chargers by 3 at home. I mean, this should be a pretty good game, but I think the Chargers are still the better team. They're home. They're healthier. I don't know how many Tampa fans will travel to LA for that game. So I'll take the Chargers by a field goal. I don't love it, but it should be a fun, close game. But it's one of those games that you could feel like could play out in a lot of different ways. but I think the Chargers are better, so I'll go Chargers by 3. Steelers at Eagles. This should be fun. Maybe in a crazy scenario, these teams make the Super Bowl. I don't think so, but we'll see. So it's Philly by 5.5. I know George Pickens is out once again, but this also, it just feels like a just too much in a favor for the Eagles. I just don't really see that being the case. I mean, maybe. I know the Eagles were favored by a lot last week, and they let me down. They honestly should have lost if Leggett caught that ball. But I will take the Steelers plus 5.5. The Steelers, as I said, they have a chance to get that bye. Like, if the Chiefs lose one more game and then they beat the Chiefs next week, there's a chance the Steelers are with the 1 seed. So they're still going for it, and I think that Pittsburgh will keep it close. So Steelers plus 5.5 for me. Sunday night, we have the Packers at Seahawks, the Hail Mary rematch. It's Green Bay minus 2.5. I know the Seahawks have looked really good recently, so I'm a little like, I don't know. This should be a really good game, though, for like real life NFL, so I'm excited for it. But I think the Packers are the better team, so I'm going to go Green Bay minus 2.5 on the road. It's a little scary. I would not be shocked if the Seahawks won, but still, I think Green Bay's better, so I'll take them minus 2.5. Bears at Vikings. It's Minnesota by 7 at home. This is a confusing one because the Vikings are coming off an ass whooping against the Falcons, which might not be too impressive. We've kind of figured out recently the Falcons are frauds. And the Bears are coming off an ass whooping in the wrong sense against the 49ers. So I don't know what to think here. I would like to think this game is close-ish. So I think I'll just take Chicago plus 7. I might hate myself for that one, but I don't know. I just feel like it might be a close game for some reason. So Chicago plus 7. I don't have much of a reason for. I do like Jalen Johnson on Justin Jefferson. That should help. So we'll see. But yeah, I'll take Bears plus 7. Falcons at Raiders. I mean, I don't know who's going to watch this one. It is a Desmond Ridder revenge game possibly. I think O'Connell might be out for this one. So interesting. I do have the Falcons defense in fantasy. I need them to come through this week, so I hope the Falcons have a couple defensive or special teams touchdowns. So it's Atlanta minus 4. If the Falcons can't cover this one, they're sad. So I'll just take the Falcons. Falcons by 4 points. The Raiders have no life. I hope I'm wrong. I want to see the Raiders win, obviously, for the Giants' standpoint and give the Giants the first overall pick. But the Falcons, I mean, they need to bounce back. They're 6-7 now. That division is still up for grabs, and they need this win. So the Raiders are just not a good team. So anyway, yeah, Falcons by 4 for me. So that's going to do it for the spread picks for this preview. Thursday's game was not too exciting, as you can see. I feel like no touchdowns were scored, so I really did not watch it closely, but it was pretty sad. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed the video. We'll talk tomorrow night, I think, maybe. I'm trying to think. I feel like I have something planned tomorrow. I don't know. I should be on tomorrow night. So anyway, we'll react to this game tomorrow night. We'll see how bad it actually gets, and I'll talk to you guys next time.